The NBA All-Star break is officially here, which means it is now time to go back and reflect and assess how the first half of the season has gone for the Chicago Bulls. What is going on, y'all? Faiz Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NBA, and here to talk about the Chicago Bulls. So if you're a Bulls fan and you are not subscribed to the channel, I don't know why, but you need to do so. I do post Bulls content on this channel, so make sure to go ahead and subscribe. Make sure to go ahead and hit the bell icon down below so you're notified every time I drop a new video, guys. Follow me on all my social media platforms. Links is always down below. Okay, so you see the whiteboard behind me. You know that means it's time to do some teaching. We're going to do an assessment of the Bulls in the first half of the season, what I liked, what I didn't like, what I'm taking away, and kind of give a big picture as we head into the second half after the All-Star break. So let's get into it. All right, so here we go. On the whiteboard behind me, you see I've kind of listed out the three areas that I'm going to be looking at and how the Bulls did in the first half. We've got the coaching, we've got the offense, and we've got the defense. Okay, so we're going to take a look at all three of those areas, and I'm going to give a letter grade on how I believe the Bulls fared in those areas. And also, I've got three key points here with regards to areas of improvement that I feel like the Bulls need to have moving forward in terms of the long-term plan. And again, we're looking at long-term here, right? As far as turning this team around. So again, don't be expecting the Bulls to all of a sudden become contenders, because again, when we hired AK and Mark Eversley, we knew that this was going to be a full rebuild and a restart and a refresh for the Chicago Bulls, and that is how you do it, okay? So with that being said, let's get into it. So at the top here, coaching, of course, we know Billy Donovan was the big hire in the offseason. Thank goodness we got rid of Jim Boylan. I thank my lucky stars every single day that he is no longer the head coach of the Chicago Bulls. I will reiterate for you, he was the worst head coach I have ever seen in my lifetime, and there is a reason that nobody has picked him up, because I told you the second the Bulls fire him, there is not going to be a single team that will hire him to be their head coach. No chance at all. Okay, so how has Billy Donovan done compared to Jim Boylan? Now, again, Jim Boylan was the absolute basement, so anybody is going to look good compared to Jim Boylan. But taking a look at Billy Donovan and how he's fared so far in the season, taking a look at rotations and him building the culture, I think he's done a phenomenal job building the culture. I think guys love playing for him. All the players have great things to say about him. And you could say, Faiz, oh, players always say that. No, that's not necessarily the case. There were a lot of players that went sour on Jim Boylan. Like, you know, Daniel Gafford, Zach LaVine, guys would literally bash Jim Boylan, give him weird looks, and stare at him. And you can tell if a team is not buying into that coach. That's not the case with Billy Donovan. They are 100% buying into Billy Donovan. So to his credit, culture has been great. He's been able to get the guys to buy in. As far as his schemes and his rotations, I feel like there's still some improvement that needs to be made. Now, of course, the Bulls have been dealing with injuries and whatnot, but for Billy Donovan in year one, I do have to cut him some slack here in terms of, you know, being too harsh on him. But the Bulls at the halfway point, what is the record? They're 16-18, okay? 16-18, ninth seed in the East, which is certainly nothing, you know, to be embarrassed about. It certainly is a young team, but the reason I can't say Billy Donovan has just been literally perfect and done a masterful job is because of the fact that, again, the record is 16-18, and there's a saying that goes, you are what your record says you are, okay? Now, I don't necessarily believe that all the time, but it is somewhat true. So as far as my grade for Billy Donovan, I'm going to give Billy Donovan a B+, because again, how can I give him an A if we are under 500? If the Bulls were, you know, a top 5 team in terms of record, and they were surprising everybody, and there was a surprise team of the East or the NBA, yeah, at that point you give Billy Donovan an A. But again, they're not. The record is 16-18, and I'll get into that in a second. So I have to give Billy Donovan a B+ for that. So the team still needs to learn how to grow and close, and talk about closing or lack thereof, folks. You know how many literally like 1 to 3 to 5 point losses the Bulls have had? Like close to 7. All right, I got some here for you. Okay, we lost to the Warriors 129-128. Lost to the Kings 128-124. Lost to the Lakers by 2 points. Lost to the Clippers by 3 points. To the Thunder by 2 points. To the Blazers by 1 point. That was that Dame shot over Lowry. Remember that one? Lost to the Knicks by 4 points. So you flip all of those losses to wins. The Bulls are 23-11. Okay, and we're having a whole different conversation here. So again, I'm very happy with Billy Donovan. He's done a great job with the culture. He's done a great job changing and turning things around, getting guys to buy in. But I can't go higher than a B+ right now in terms of the first half of the season. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the offense and the defense. So offensively, this Bulls team, folks, they can pretty much score with anybody. Now, I'm not saying they're one of the best offensive teams in the NBA. Certainly far from it, actually. They're about 15th, which is clearly middle of the pack in terms of offensive rating. But this team has no problem scoring the basketball, and that's largely because of who? Zach LaVine. Yeah, he's been an absolute monster this season and just been a man on a mission, folks. I mean, he has obviously been an all-star, become an all-star for a reason, averaging 28 points per game. He's been unbelievable, okay? And we've seen other guys have stretches. Kobe White's had a couple of 30-plus point games. We've seen Lowry, when he was healthy, score the basketball really well. We've seen Thaddeus Young give us triple-double upside. Even Denzel Valentine somehow has been, decent at scoring this season. So as far as offense, putting the ball in the basket, being able to, having efficient offense, it's been night and day compared to Jim Boylen. Again, Jim Boylen was the basement. He was the bar. But it's been way better, right? A lot of motions, a lot of screens. Guys aren't just standing around. You're not just doing an ISO. Okay, so they can score. But I got to be fair here. You take away Zach LaVine, and that's literally, worrisome, because now you're like, okay, who the heck is going to score? Because this team has been so reliant on Zach LaVine scoring that you haven't really developed a secondary scorer, if you will, right? That was one of my big questions coming into this year. If Zach is not, able to score, if he's getting double teamed, who is the next guy stepping up? Is it Kobe? Is it Lowry? Is it Wendell? Who is it? Is it Patrick Williams? Who is it? So that question hasn't been answered. All right, nobody's emerged, so that's a problem here. So in terms of grade, I'm going to give the Bulls a B- here. Again, because of the fact that Zach LaVine is doing a lot of the heavy lifting here, it's going to bring the grade down. But I can't say they're a bad offense because the numbers just don't say it, and they score really well. But you know what they are bad at? It's defense, okay? And I'm going to just put the grade up here and then talk about it, because the Bulls' defense has been poor. So I'm going to give them a D-. Straight up, I could have given them an F, but I'm not going to do that. Look, folks, this Bulls team, they try hard. Individually, Patrick Williams has emerged as a good defender. Zach LaVine's also improved his game individually as a defender. But if we're looking at the overall team defense, this Bulls team, just not very good defensively. This is a huge, huge area of improvement, area of concern that needs to be addressed. I've talked about that ad nauseum, and I will talk about it in the areas of improvement. We get killed inside, literally, every single time a capable, I shouldn't even say capable, literally a decent big, okay, goes up against us. They destroy us. They eat us alive, okay? And it's sad. I'm not blaming Wendell completely, but it is bad for the Bulls in terms of their defense, because they have problems. They're bottom 10 in terms of defensive rating. And so the Bulls just aren't very good defensively. And you know what? A lot of that is personnel. We don't have a lot of size, don't have a lot of good individual defenders, okay? So that's kind of where I'm at. So that is essentially the grade here in terms of the defense. Okay, so you take those three into account here, and obviously let's combine it. And what is my overall grade for the Bulls for the first half of the season? Obviously, it's going to be a C, but I'm going to give them a C+. Let's combine it and give them a C+ here, because they have been fun to watch. All right, I'm not going to lie. They've been entertaining. They've been fun to watch, so certainly has been progress, improvement there. I like it, but I'm going to give them a C+ based off of everything I talked about. All right, let's move on to areas of improvement here. I've already talked about the first point here, where the Bulls need more size. I've talked about guys that they could go out and get, whether that's a Karl Anthony Towns, or whether that's Nikola Vucevic. an Andre Drummond, a John Collins. There are guys out there to be had. What I believe AK and the front office need to decide is what the timeline is, right? Because if you're looking to turn into a team that wants to win now, you go ahead and you acquire a guy, like that. But if you are looking to still build, then at that time, maybe it's not worth it to just, trade away your assets for a big. But regardless of how we go about it, whether that's drafting somebody, whether that's trading for somebody, we need to address this. More size on this team on both ends of the court. Okay, number 2 area of concern. More offense besides Zach LaVine. And I should say probably don't be as dependent on Zach LaVine. That's kind of what I mean by this point, but it's scaring me now. Zach is so good that it's scaring me that we don't have somebody besides Zach. And teams are going to start figuring this out. They're just going to throw a double team at Zach. They're just going to trap him. They're going to put their best defender on him. I'm not saying they don't already do, but I think they're going to do more and more. And so we're going to need other guys to step up. So if we are realizing, and I should say AK and the front office is realizing, yeah, Kobe's not that guy who's going to do that. Neither is Lowry. Neither is Wendell. Maybe not even Pat. Well, I'm not saying that's the case. But if they do think that, you need to go out and get somebody who's going to be able to do that. Because, you do not win in the NBA without multiple scores. Folks, the last time a team had literally like one guy who was the only threat in terms of offense was the 2011 Mavs, which was an exception with Dirk Nowitzki when he went just absolutely bonkers in the playoffs. And even then, they had Jason Terry who was going off, Jason Kidd, like guys stepped up, okay? And you could talk about, what about the Toronto Raptors in 2019, Faiz? Folks, they had Kawhi Leonard, yes, as their lone star, but Kyle Lowry's no slouch. Fred VanVleet's turned into a star. They had, guys like Serge Ibaka, Norman Powell, Pascal Siakam, for crying out loud. Folks, you need guys besides just one to be able to score, okay? That needs to happen. We need to do that. And maybe this can be addressed with the first point, right? You get a guy like a Nikola Vucevic, he gives you size and offense. So you gotta be smart, AK. 2 birds, 1 stone. That's how you do it. All right, and finally, moving on to number 3. This is something where, again, a lot of it depends on timeline here. But I think this is a big takeaway I've had from the first half of the season. More experience. Now, the Bulls are a very young team. So what do I mean by this? I mean, for the Bulls to win games and then obviously to become a championship contender, you need more experience. Young players don't win squat in the NBA. Now, if you were telling me, Faiz, because we know this is a long-term plan and AK saying, hey, we're not going to be contenders for 3, 4, 5 years, fine, cool, I get it. You don't need the experience right now, even though Thad Young's been phenomenal as a vet. Garrett Temple was a good signing. Fine, you don't need the experience right now. But if you were telling me, hey, next year we're making a push, you need experience. Because if you look at all the numbers, go look it up, the best lineup for the Bulls this season in terms of, offensive efficiency, being able to, have the highest plus minus, it's been Zach with all the veterans. It's been Zach with Temple, with that. It's not been Zach with Kobe or Lowry or Wendell like we would think. So, young players, great to have them because you want them to develop. And Pat Williams obviously is turning into one of the best two-way players in terms of young guys in this league. And I love his upside. But the best lineups are the ones with guys that legitimately are experienced and know how to play, of course. And is it really a hot take if I told you the second best player on this team all year has been Thaddeus Young? I don't think that's a hot take. After Zach LaVine, Thaddeus Young, one of the vets, has been the best player. So more experience, you need that if you want to win. So again, all of this depends on timeline, but this is just my first half assessment here of what I'm going to do for the Bulls. Okay, 16-18 is the record, 9th in the East. I still like what I've been seeing from this team. Coaching B+, offense B-, defense D-, give them an overall grade of C+. And then these 3 are the 3 areas that I believe they need to address. More size, more offense besides Zach LaVine, and get more experience on this team. And hopefully that will help us keep on getting better. So there you have, folks. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Leave a comment down below. If you agree or disagree with my assessment, what grade would you give the Bulls for the first half of the season? Let me know down below. As always, thanks for watching.